Unitarian Universalists have many ancestors hailing from many locations and traditions. Some are religious ancestors, others scientists, humanists, theists, advocates, activists, poets. The living tradition which we share draws from many sources and asserts no creed. Instead, it is defined by our shared values and our shared seeking, a unity of purpose among a diversity of belief. Our shared UU values are described in our 7 principles and our seeking described by the 5 sources. And those principles and sources were enumerated by our UU ancestors with, I'm sure, much debate and way too many committee meetings. And those people were drawing from their UU ancestors, responding to changing times and working on behalf of us, their UU descendants, to illuminate the stepping stones of our faith. When the Universalist Church of America and the Unitarian Association formalized their consolidation and the birth of UU in 1961, the original purposes of the UUA were defined in Article 2 of the organizational bylaws, which is where our religious principles are still described today. It's a fascinating lesson in history to go back and read the principles as defined in 1961. They are at the same time recognizable in intent and profoundly different in form than our current principles. And when I came across them a few years ago, it kind of blew my mind that something which seems so immutable to me as a relatively new UU could change so much. Yet it is a representation of the living nature of our tradition. In 1985, after a decade of activism on the part of the UU Women's Federation to remove gender-biased language from our defining documents, the bylaws were updated to the 7 principles and 5 sources that we know today. But we are given a distinct gift by our predecessors in 1961, an acknowledgement that the world changes and we must change with it, that UU theology is of this world and not the next, and indeed is in our care to tend. The designation of ours as a living tradition. The UU bylaws require that Article 2, that section which defines our principles and sources, be substantially studied for potential revisions at least every 15 years. That's really pretty incredible. We are asked to take stock and decide together whether our roadmap meets the needs of the current time and whether it represents the legacy that we want to carry with us into the future. Our ancestors have tasked us with being good ancestors to all future UUs. I find that to be both an amazing gift and an inspiring responsibility. In 2019, a study commission was formed and tasked with leading a process to create a new draft of Article 2, a reimagining of our UU principles and sources. They have been asked to propose revisions that will enable our communities to be relevant and powerful forces for spiritual and moral growth, healing, and justice. Specifically asking the Commission to center love in action via our commitment to personal, institutional, and cultural change rooted in anti-oppression, anti-racism, and multiculturalism values and practices. Their process is underway now, with the ultimate goal being that a draft of the updated principles will go to the 2023 General Assembly for initial approval and then to the 2024 General Assembly for final adoption. ERUUF has created a team to keep you up to date and informed on the process and ways that you can participate. We will be holding 2 information sessions after service, one on November 6th and one on November 20th. You can find more information in the e-news or reach out directly to us individually or email article2@eruuf.org. That's the number 2, Article 2. The team consists of myself, Nancy Henley, Connie Piercy, and Michael Fields, and any of us would be happy to help you get connected. As this process moves forward over the next 2 years, my wish is that we all are able to participate in some part of this reimagining, this making manifest the living nature of our tradition. It is quite a special time for our movement. May we be good ancestors.